Hello and welcome to Run Free and Strong. I'm Reto. Today we're going to destroy 3 running myths that hold us back. Let's start with myth number 1. We've all heard the advice to increase our weekly mileage by no more than 10%. And if we increase weekly mileage too much, we'll be injured. It's a little bit like saying running is bad for our knees. Here's how to destroy this myth. To safely increase our weekly running mileage, we start with the principle that running improvement is a response to running stress, in other words, intensity and duration of training, and the resulting adaptation. I use running stress measured by my stride power meter or foot pod as a single indicator that encompasses training volume, intensity, recovery, environmental conditions, and so on. These are variables that influence running stress. Significantly increasing more than one variable in a given training period could increase running stress above a level that our body is capable of adaptation and may over time lead to overuse injury. For example, raising weekly mileage from 40 to 50 miles, which is a 25% increase, and concurrently adding lactate threshold workouts in the same week may be too much. Instead, raise the mileage to 50, sustain that for 2 weeks, then week 3 add a lactate threshold workout. Please keep in mind, these are illustrative examples, and you should do what you think works best for you. This approach will also enable planning of training microcycles. For example, 3 hard weeks followed by an easy week in a 4-week training block. Therefore, limit the number of consecutive weekly increases beyond 10%, and plan an easy week every 4 weeks or so to consolidate gains and allow the body to adapt. In other words, don't increase from 40 miles to 80 miles in 4 weeks. There are exceptions when a conservative approach makes sense. These include someone who is starting to run and doesn't have a running foundation of at least a few months, or someone coming back from injury or a longer break from running. Let's talk about myth number 2. Ultra runners are advised to walk the uphills and run the flats and downhills in long ultras or training runs. As an overarching principle, this makes sense. Having said that, I've learned through my DNF in the Swiss Alpine 68K, as well as hundreds of miles and hours of training, that the combination of downhill running on technical trails and an ultra creates significant lower body stress. When not properly trained and prepared, we're likely to not only feel the pain, but very possibly sustain an injury. I've adapted my approach to run the moderate uphills, flats, and moderate downhills, and to walk the steep climbs and the steep descents. No point to hammer the body and risk an injury. So yes, hill repeats and hill training makes sense, both up and down. In summary, let's align training with racing and train systems, for example, the musculoskeletal system, that will be required in stress during a race. If your race is technical with significant vertical gains and descents, train accordingly. And finally, myth number 3. Run long and slow in zone 2 because ultra runners don't need to run fast. Yes, sometimes we joke that ultra runners just walk and eat during an ultra marathon. There are several reasons to train effectively across the 5 power zones, from aerobic to lactate threshold to VO2 max to anaerobic. These include improving our body's energy conversion, improving our running economy, improving our overall ability to run faster and longer, and reducing the risk of injury. For example, how do we achieve our time goals, whatever they may be? For example, sub 6 hours for 50K, sub 10 hours for 50 miler, or 24 hours for a 100 miler. And how do we ensure we meet the overall race cutoff time, as well as aid station cutoffs in an ultra marathon? A 100-mile ultra may have a cutoff of 30 hours, but aid station cutoffs may be more aggressive. Most races are strict and will pull runners out of a race if they miss the cutoffs. Improving running economy and running pace requires training across all 5 power development zones. Yes, that means getting out of our comfort zone, pardon the pun, and not running everything in zone 2, but training in zones 3 and 4. I've shared a few videos about why it's important to work on VO2 max and lactate threshold and how to do that with sample workout videos. Zone 5 is covered with strides, which develops top-end speed, and for an ultra runner, most importantly improves running economy and the mind-body or neuromusculoskeletal connection. To make a final point, most of us use a run-walk-run strategy for long ultras. Let's assume a hypothetical 100-mile race with a 30-hour cutoff and 12 aid stations. We spend an average of 30 minutes at each aid station, maybe less early in the race and more in the second half. Subtract that 6 hours aggregate aid station time from the 30-hour cutoff. Now we have to complete the run, walk, run in 24 hours. That's about 14 minutes per mile pace. Sounds doable. If we run 3 minutes and walk 2 minutes, and we walk around 18 minutes per mile pace, what should our run pace be? Check my math, please. We'd walk about 40 miles in about 12 hours. We would need to cover the other 60 miles while running 12 minutes per mile. No problem, right? But that assumes everything goes according to plan, and we just squeeze under the overall race cutoff. We're ignoring more aggressive cutoffs for early aid stations. We're ignoring that for a 100-miler we would be running and walking during the night. We're ignoring that late in the race we may abandon the run, walk, run strategy because we're hurting too much, and we just fight to walk and finish. So early in the race, we may need to run at a 9-minute pace. Are we training for that? We must. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, both to follow my UTMB training journey, as well as to learn more strategies and tips. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.